Recognize that tune, and you know it's time for RELICS Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to RELICS Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And you are live again on RELICS Radio. It is October the 18th. 2018, and I tell you what, folks, this is fast becoming my most favorite day of the week. I look so forward to every Thursday to be able to come and be on the air with you guys for an hour and a half or so and talk metal detecting and relic hunting and just hash around and what our week has been like. And we're so glad to have all of you, and I am your host, Digging with Seven.
And I'm your co-host, Tennessee Jeff.
Hey,
How do
Jeff.
you like the weather, Stephen?
Hell, I tell you, it was. I had to put a jacket on this morning whenever I went out, and I should have had my hoodie. I didn't have my hoodie in the car, but if I had, I would have had it on. I guarantee you, because it was windy and it was cold, and quite a change, I tell you.
Yeah, you know what I ended up doing? I ended up putting my headset on the AT Pro, so I wore my headset to keep my ears warm, and of course I had my fleece jacket on and had a pretty good time.
Yeah. Hey, we need to get something out of the way here early. I don't know if you guys remember. It was probably a couple of weeks ago, and Jason Jarnigan was, he's a new listener. He was using a GPX and was really interested in that. He called in. We actually gave him a shirt that night and put him in. He sent a picture back with him and his two boys. He's got number 20. And his son Jacob on the 14th, which was 4 days ago, became unconscious. They took him to the hospital. They found out that he had a brain aneurysm, and he passed away 2 days ago. And our thoughts and our prayers go out to that new listener of ours, Jason Jarnigan, and his family. And by the way, I put a link in the description on this show tonight, and if you would, after the show is over, if you would go and click that link and just let everybody here on RELICS Radio, let the Jarnigan family know that we're thinking about them. And I hate to start the show out on a negative note like that, but I did want to say something about it and get that out of the way and just tell him that our thoughts and prayers are with him. I cannot imagine. Can you, Jeff?
I could not. After I found out yesterday, I was sitting there next to my 15-month-old son, and of course I was thinking, what would I do? And I mean, actually, just thinking of it, it brings tears to my eyes right now, just thinking about it.
I know.
I have no words, and just hope your faith gets you through it.
Yeah. And, you know, from time to time, we will try and carry all of those things on the Relic Radio Facebook group page. So stay with us, guys, there on the group page and watch for those things. And if you hear of something in your community like that, share it with us so we can share it with all the people that are in that group. We just got a great group of people there. And I know that that will not make a difference, you know, as far as bringing that young man back. But and Barb was a little bit late It's Jason Jarnigan's young son, Jacob, passed away. I don't know, Barb, if you were on here 2 or 3 weeks ago whenever Jason called in. You can go back and probably pick that show up. But anyway, we wanted to get that out of the way. And we got a lot of people in the chat tonight, don't we?
We do. We got old Hawk Relic Hunter. We got Tim Henderson. Of course, we got Barb. There's Charles. Anita Jackson's in the house. Wes Stranger's in the house. There's Mark Hoover, Ken Guthrie. Man, there is Bill Hayes. There's Chris. Move on down a little bit. Hey, we got Missouri Mike in the house. Of course, I'm sure he's listening. Him and Jeff's listening while they're driving home.
I'd say so.
Yeah, Jesse Rogers is in the house, and if I missed you, I'm sorry, but it's a full house tonight.
Bandito,
glad every one of you is here.
Bandito said he's just checking in. Jason Julian is in. And we have already got a call. Last 4 numbers, 5100. Who have we got? Well, let me see if I can get them added to the group here. I clicked on them. Let's see if they're... Hello, caller.
Hi, yes. My name is Carlene, James Opfar's wife. And I have a question for the show.
Okay. Go ahead.
Could one have too many metal detectors?
Could one have too many metal detectors? Well, we have...
I emphasize the two.
Oh, can one have too many metal detectors? Is that your question?
Heck yeah, that's my question.
Okay.
Well, let's...
Like 2, 3, 4, and pretty soon my garage is full of metal detecting stuff, and I have no idea what it is. So, could one have too many?
Well, let's... we've got a great guest. Let's let him answer that one.
Yeah,
James?
Yeah, we haven't even introduced our guest yet before we got a call. But James Opfar, we're gonna turn that one over to you because only you can answer that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hey, honey. Yeah. Each one has a purpose, but I am trying to sell a few or a couple. We'll see.
Bill Hayes says the answer is no, and I agree with Bill.
I guess so, because I saw that meme with the guy smoking and say that they bought one, and their wife asked if they were going to get rid of one, and then they're just laughing. So, you guys have a good talk.
Okay. Hey, thanks for the call. That's a first right there.
Yeah,
Thanks,
this
sweetheart.
is why. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, that's a first where we have a guest and the wife jumps on before we even talk to the guest, hammering him. We're praying for you too, James.
We are.
Thank you. I need it.
And a lot of times my wife, she'll ask a question on the show prep deal. Well, how does your wife think about metal detecting? Well, I think we just found out what your wife thinks about it. So.
Yeah, that's something else. Hey, James, how long have you been detecting?
So I started about 2.5 years ago. I don't know how much into detail you want me to go with it, but I always have loved metal detecting. The idea of finding stuff in the ground, like all of you guys and gals. And my dad used to have a couple of old Whites, the big box machines that he picked up somewhere down the road, and they ended up going to my father-in-law, and they ended up getting given away or handed off somewhere when he passed away. So I just never really had an ability to get into it until I finally said, okay, I'm going to start. And so I looked on Craigslist and I found a white Silver Eagle for a decent price. It was used. I mean, it's a 20-year-old machine. But I started with that one and I just played around with it. And, I've always liked whites because of my dad. And so, yeah, I did that. And I mean, it led to where I'm at now. I ended up finding an Eagle Spectrum on eBay for like $150. So I kind of upgraded to that. And I took them both with me to last year to Rob's Ultimate Permission event. And that's what I used last year. So.
Yeah. And I guess, the exposure, and Mark Hoover is the only one this week that put any questions in show prep. Guys, y'all going to have to get on the ball and put some questions in show prep and give us some things to ask. But he had put in there, your first exposure to that. So I guess that was through, with your dad, him having detectors. Is that correct?
Yes. And I've always been fascinated, with treasure hunting and lost treasure, and not even just that, stuff that people lost and not even treasure. It's relics too,
Yeah.
Anything with a history, especially if you can trace that history down, that drives me.
Oh yeah. James, do you remember your very first find?
I did. It was a 1978 Clyde quarter, about a foot off my back porch when I first got that Silver Eagle. And ever since then, like, holy cow. It's just a Clyde quarter, but I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's your very first find. I mean, it means something. I mean, even if it was a pull tab or something, that was your very first find with a metal detector. What about your best find?
My best find? Oh man,
if you
that's
had
hard
one.
to pin down. So at Rob's event this year, I ended up going back, and you've heard about it on his episode and also on Joe's episode, but I managed to pull a period token that's super rare that I didn't even know how rare it was until they told me. I was like, holy mackerel. So it was a trade token that was good for 10 cents in trade at a local store there in the area. And that was from I think it was 1890s, I believe.
And that was in that's in the Diamondville hunt, I guess, wasn't it?
Yep. And you can see it, in my video, and you can see me showing it. In fact, that's the picture on your promo I sent you. Me holding that up to Rob when he asked me what I got.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, we had Rob on, and he is a character, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. I just re-listened to both of those episodes with Rob and Joe today again, just to get in the mindset.
Yeah.
'Cause I've never gone on a radio show like this before, or anything. So.
Well, this is the first time for everything, and we're just we're all just one big old community, and we've all been through some of the same things. Some of us just been doing it longer, haven't we, Jeff?
Yeah, you have. Yep, that's right. He started metal detecting when I was a year old, so if that tells you anything. Well, of course it doesn't. I was born in 76, so he started, you started in 77, that's right, wasn't it?
No, I started in 75.
75, okay.
Yeah, started in 75.
Wow.
And... that's not been constant all that time, but I've got a lot of hours under my belt. There's no doubt about that, and my knees show it. But I tell you, everybody loved having Rob on. I can just imagine hunting out in the field with him. Is he as much a character out in the field as he is on the show and what have you?
Oh yeah, he's hilarious. If you saw, he was up here in my area a couple weeks ago, and I was able to go hunt with him. And we door knocked a random house, and we didn't find what we were expecting to find because it was in one of the older settlement areas of South Puget Sound there. And but we had a good time. We found some toy cars, and he found a horseshoe, and just seeing his excitement about anything that he finds, like he was saying in his episode, how he came over here and pretty much everything is new history to him. So just to see that, and I sometimes have a hard time expressing my excitement, but I get excited about things. Well, I'm sure everybody does, but
oh yeah,
like coins, whatever, yeah.
And of course, there's a couple of finds that I find that I don't really get excited, like jumping up and down, but actually inside I'm really excited about it. I just don't show it very much.
And, on any given day, you can get excited over almost anything. If you're having a rough day and you stumble onto a fairly good relic, and I've always, and I'll tell you this, James, because I tell all young detectors, and I consider you, whenever I compare you to me, that you're a young detectorist, but I go out with this one thought in mind: if I can find one good filmable clip today, because I do everything for video, if I can find one good thing to film today, then I'm satisfied. And whenever you go out with that mindset, you don't come back depressed and everything. And whenever you find something that that is, exceptional, then, you're just over the moon. And then you have those days whenever you just get up on an old site or something other and you just find all kinds of stuff. So, but that's always been kind of my motto. If I can go out and find one good relic, then I'm happy. And, I'm sure that you're kind of the same way.
Yeah. I was listening to, what was it? Where they were talking about being in a rut, the show like last week or something.
Yeah, that was American Digger.
Yeah, I was listening to that, being in a rut, and how I think it was Heath that was talking about not caring about bullets until he was in a rut, and he'd be happy to go out and find a bullet. I'm just happy to find. I'm happy to find anything that's not garbage. Anything that I could say I found that, and it was lost, and now I found it. So,
and anything. Right. And anything that you can find and get a little bit of history behind it, it makes even just a so-so relic come alive, and it means more to you. And especially if you're doing it on video, if you're sharing it with the world, and then you've got a find here. If you just put that find on, well, people will say, is an iron buckle. But, if you do some history behind that buckle or that suspender clip or that bullet, anything, the token, then that comes alive and it begins to mean something to your viewers as much as it does you. And we've done that, haven't we, Jeff?
We have. That's correct. And, that was a good speech there. But it's like as many Indian head pennies that you found, you still get very excited when you find one.
Oh, I've got another one. I got another one yesterday.
I've seen it.
I don't want Barb to hear that. In fact, Mark Hoover called me, and I dug this Indian, and then I wanted to go. I had to go back to the vehicle to get my glasses because I was trying to see a date on the thing, and I didn't have any glasses in my pouch or anything. And I walked back over to the vehicle and got my glasses and come back over. And just about the time I got back to the hole, getting ready to turn the video on and go down to the hole, it rang, and is Mark Hoover, and he said, "How you doing? How you feeling?" I said, "Oh, I'm a whole lot better now, because I just got over the flu." And he said, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm hunting." He said, "Are you finding anything?" I said, "Well, I just found an Indian I'm fixing to film here." And he said, "Oh, well, I hate that for you," And I said, "Yeah, so does Barb." But yeah, I get it. I get really excited when I find an Indian because they're getting few and far between, now.
They sure are. We had a little contest going on yesterday that you posted your finds, and I don't know if you've seen mine or not, but I seen Mark's find that he made, the World War II bomb, and then incendiary round, and then of course I'd found a musket ball and a tomback button, but we were posting finds back and forth, and I thought that was pretty neat. So.
Yeah, no, I didn't get back over and see those. Of course, we had church last night, and Wednesdays are kind of tough on me. Hey, James, tell us about your experiences with Joe Davidson, Okie.
So, I met Joe through Rob. Yeah, so I went to Rob's event last year, and so I came back from that event, and Rob was like, there's a guy that's supposed to come over here from up north of you, and Joe lives about 2 hours north of me, so it's a little bit of a commute, but still close enough to where we've been able to get together a couple times over here. And so Joe invited me out to go hunt his fort. If you've seen some of his videos, he talks about hunting a fort in a jungle up here, and it really is a jungle, especially during the summer. It was crazy. But I went up there to hunt with him that first time. That was last October. And I only had my Silver Eagle at the time, and I had my Eagle Spectrum. And the day that I was going up there, it was just pouring down rain. And, you know, those old Weiss machines, they're not waterproof. And so Joe had talked to me previously about buying his AT Pro from him. And when I got up there, I realized I wasn't going to be able to do anything until I got a waterproof machine if it's dumping rain. And, you know, I get antsy when I can't get out. I mean, this last couple of weeks, I haven't been able to get out until yesterday morning. And so it was driving me nuts not being able to go out in the rain. And so I bought his AT Pro from him. He gave me a pretty good deal. And so I hunted it there with him that day. And I ended up finding a cigarette pack token from World War II, like right after I basically bought it from him. First target underneath a tree there. And he's never found one of those there. So yeah, if he watches video, it's like, man, it was crazy.
Hey,
I had that.
That fort that he hunts there, that was World War II maneuvers and stuff that they did there quite a bit, wasn't it? Because he finds a lot of World War II stuff there.
Yes, sir. So it was a fort that didn't see a lot of action until basically World War II. They used it as a ship-off point to the Pacific Theater. So they had tons of people pass through there during the war years. And they also had some prisoners of war. I think they were maybe Chinese or Italian, if I remember correctly. Probably wrong, but yeah, they staged some prisoners of war there too for a little while. And so there's a lot of history, and it ended up being turned into a city park. So people hunt it all the time, and I mean, there's still stuff out there. I just went out with him not too long ago and found my first military buttons and U.S. collar disc, and so that was pretty good time. I was excited to find those.
Yeah, that sounds like a great time. You mentioned you're a whites man, but of course, how many other metal detectors do you have?
So I still have my Eagle Spectrum. I ended up selling my Silver Eagle to a buddy at work to get him started. I gave him a good deal, you know, because that's how friends are. Mm-hmm. And so then I have the Eagle Spectrum, which I use from time to time. I bought the AT Pro, and then ever since I found out about the Eagle Spectrum, I learned about the DFX, so I wanted to buy one, and I waited a long time because people ask way too high prices for them. And I ended up finding a guy that bought one and basically let it sit for a while in a closet and never used it because he was a trucker. And so I ended up buying that from him for a decent price, you know, $200 or $300 if I remember correctly. So I got the DFX, and then last year I won a certificate for getting best find at Rob's event, and I used that on a Fisher T2 LTD. And so I actually brought that with me this year, and I ended up winning best find with that. I got it 3 days before I went on my trip, so I had to figure out how to run it, but it was a fairly good machine and fairly deep and fairly quick. And I figured it out, and that's what I found my token with, and then my silver-plated fork. So I got that, and then I ended up just now getting my brother's Deus from him for a good price. He gave me a good deal because he has too many things to do and not enough time to dedicate to it. So that's where I'm at.
You do have several.
No
so
wonder.
Out of all the,
no wonder your wife is mad at you. And guys, if you missed the first of the show, you missed something that's never happened on RELICS Radio or any podcast that I've heard. Before we can even introduce the guest, his wife is calling and asks a question: can a man have too many metal detectors? I understand now, don't you, Jeff?
I sure do. Oh, man. And out of all them detectors, which one do you like the best?
No, I also forgot that I'm borrowing an MX Sport to play around with it. I really like that. I'm trying to see how it compares with the AT Pro, and it's, you know, how it is when you get a new machine. You got to learn its nuances and what it's telling you and what it does. And so I'm still figuring that out. But the ones that I own, I like the DFX a lot. It's a pretty powerful machine. I haven't even learned it completely. But it was so similar to my Eagle Spectrum that the menu and everything, I kind of knew what to do. So, but the Deus that I got from my brother, I've been playing around with that. And man, that thing is portable. I mean, it hits hard on targets real quick. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
It's a good relic machine. There's no doubt about it, and it is light, and so is the MindLab Equinox, and they're pretty well in competition now. Those two. By the way, guys, Nick Emilio has joined us tonight, as also Josh with Beyond Sight and Sound. John Lambert said this is his first podcast. Welcome to you, John. But I was going to tell you that Nick and I, previous to the show starting tonight, were in conversation. We're doing our best to pick a date to where that Nick can be on the show. We're really looking forward to having him, and so glad that he joined us here tonight. Let me ask you this, James. Has Joe ever told you the story of coming to Kentucky and hunting? What happened to him in 5 Mile Holler?
Yeah, I just listened to his episode where he told it on his. I think you made him recount it on his show. Being tapped on the shoulder. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Well, Josh Kimmel is going to have a Halloween show because his Wednesday night show, I believe it's a Wednesday night show, isn't it, that corresponds with Halloween this year. He's going to have a Halloween show, and I don't know if I'm going to be to where that I could call in on that show or anything. So I just pre-recorded a thing about Joe Davidson, about Okie, and the whole story about really 5 Mile Holler. And even Jeff has not heard all of the story and everything that goes with that. And I think Josh, he told me he was going to use that. So I tell you what, guys, you need to listen to that Halloween show because I think that we're going to hear some extraordinary, unexplainable things that are going to come out on that show. And I want to reach out to Joe and try to have him call in that night. And if Josh plays that on his show, then he can kind of follow that up with a call and offer a little bit of legitimacy to it, you know. But he told you about it then.
Yeah, he didn't tell me directly about it, but I'm sure he's mentioned it. And I heard it on you guys, so that's pretty crazy.
And speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. Here
what
he is.
Joe? What's going on, guys?
Man.
Hey, what's going on, Joe?
How's it going, Joe?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Running from these ghosts.
Good.
Did you hear me tell that that I shared your story with Josh?
I caught the tail end of it. I honestly, I just started tuning in. I was catching bits and pieces of it as I was throwing my detectors in my case and all my clothes, and I'm heading to the airport right now.
Oh, well, you don't know all the story about 5 Mile Holler. And so I go through, I don't know how long the thing is. I don't know. It's maybe 4 or 5 minutes long. And I go through and tell a lot of history that you even haven't heard about that. And I know that Jeff hadn't heard it either. But I want you to listen to Josh's show that Wednesday night. And when he plays that segment, you need to call in and confirm, you know, what happened to you in that holler there.
Oh, this coming Wednesday?
It will be Halloween. It's the Halloween show.
Right.
Yeah.
You bet y'all call in on that one.
Yeah, that's going to be that's going to be a great show, I tell you. And Josh just confirmed it is 5 minutes. And I tried to get as much information in as I could and keep it as short as I could. But I tell you, James, if you come and hunt with us, we're going to take you to 5 Mile Holler.
I'll go wherever I can go. That's my motto. If I can get there, I'll go.
hey, Seven, I'm gonna stay on the other side of that creek. You guys can have at that area. I'm gonna focus around the tree over there.
Now, Joe, I've got a question though. When that happened, did your metal detector go off like it had a lot of like electrical interference or something?
No,
do you recall?
Nope. It was some hard taps on my shoulder, and every hair on my entire body was standing straight up. And I thought as soon as I felt that hard tap, I'm like, man, somebody really wants to get my attention. And I turned around and I see Seven and Jeremy way down the hill, and that was freaky. I just kind of, it's almost like I couldn't move there for a bit. Kind of took my breath away, and I was almost like kind of paralyzed there for just a few seconds. I just couldn't move. I was so scared.
Didn't take you long to get down the hill once you got started, though. And we don't want to take anything away from Josh's show, so we probably ought to cut it off right there, because I'm sure there's other things that you want to say, but let the listeners, let Josh have the spotlight on all of that that night.
Oh, you bet.
Joe, tell us about hunting with James out in y'all's area there.
And that's what I was just calling to say. It's I hunt with a lot of people. I've hunted with a lot of people in my, I guess, metal detecting, since I started metal detecting, and James is definitely one of my favorite people to hunt with. He's so passionate about it, and I don't care what he's digging up, man. He's excited about it, and he doesn't give up. I mean, I can't keep up with the guy, and he's the only guy that I've hunted with that loves night hunting as much as I do. And, man, he's probably more than that. I mean, that guy gets up at 2:30 in the morning and goes out and detects his permissions he's got, and I just like, man, that's you got it bad, man. You got the bug bad.
Well, he does. 2:30 in the morning. Good gracious!
I know it.
That's about the only time I can get, man. I got 4 kids, and I don't get a lot of time outside of their normal schedule. And my wife works at night, so I'm usually up when she gets home from work just to spend some time with her. So my time is to go out early in the morning.
Yeah, and from what I hear, James, you don't want to make that woman mad any madder than she already is at you. Hey, guys, we got another caller that has called in, 2186. Who we got on the line?
Hi, this is Christy.
Hey, Christy.
Hello, Christy.
Hey, how's it going?
That's my sister.
I am James's sister, and I would agree with you all in the passion that I see from him. I often say it's really rare to see someone with this much passion for anything, and the fact that he enjoys it so well, I just love to see that in him. So that's really great.
Yeah. And
I did have a question, though.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So, James, I know with all your metal detecting, you collect quite a few trinkets and little treasures that you find. What does your organizational system look like as you find trinkets?
Well, I don't have that many, as many as a lot of people. So I got a bucket full of iron relics. I got a small Tupperware container full of little trinkets and stuff. And then I got a Tupperware full of clad. And that's pretty much all I got right now.
Well, I mean,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not scattered everywhere, although my bucket is pretty full of iron relics. So.
About the bucket deal, the worst thing I've ever done is stuck one in the bed of my truck and fill it full of iron, and you can't get it out of the bed of the truck once you fill it full. And then the handle breaks off in the middle of the driveway, and then, of course, you've got nails and scrap iron that you're running over for the next couple of years. So just beware.
That's why
before you know it, James, before you know it, you're going to have iron relics and goodies everywhere, man. I went in my junk drawer looking for some super glue the other day, and there's a pile of wheat pennies that's in my freaking junk drawer, and I don't even know how they got there. So yeah, you're going to have junk everywhere here before long.
Hey, guys,
I'm going to have to work on that.
Yeah, you will. We're going to have to take us a break right here for a minute and pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
Hey, looking good in our new RELICS Radio t-shirts.
Yeah, Ken and Mark Guthrie of Detectives.com done brung them to us.
Yep. And they makes other shirts, too.
Yeah, boy. Detectives.com can handle tees for your club, hunt, or any other promotion folks may have.
They even got the Wide Pride shirts.
Yeah, them boys does the manatee crawl.
Yeah, scooting on their bellies.
That's what I said. The manatee crawl.
Looks like slugs eating jelly.
So whether you hunt horizontal or vertical, tell the folks where they need to go, TJ.
www.detectives.com.
And by the way, guys, with the cooler weather coming on and everything, Ken and Mark Guthrie with Detectives.com now have the Relic Radio hoodies. And I tell you what, they are nice. You need to go over to Detectives.com and get you one of those or a t-shirt. From RELICS Radio, American Digger Magazine, History Seekers, Wide Pride, the Manatee Crawl, they got it all. I tell you, don't they, Jeff?
They sure do, and doing a great job at it. I mean, I've got to get me a hoodie. It's like you said, it's cooling off, so I need to get me a couple of hoodies. So, and then every T-shirt I've got now is RELICS Radio. So everybody looking at me, well, did you change shirts from yesterday? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's just a different shirt. So.
Hey guys, I seen somebody the other day that was down in Florida cleaning up some of the hurricane debris that had on a RELICS Radio T-shirt.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, those are good quality T-shirts, guys. By the way,
they are.
Man, that's a great quality T-shirt. I enjoy wearing it.
And we put a link in our description here on our show that has Detectives and all of our sponsors, but it's just Detectives, DETECTEES.com, and I guarantee you they'll give you a good deal. Sure will. Joe, what else about James can you reveal to us? Any funny stories that y'all have had together or anything?
Oh, man, we had, James and his brother and I, we went over to Idaho, to Diamondville, excuse me. Ooh, I almost slipped on that one, didn't I, James?
Yeah, you did.
So we were going over to Diamondville, and it's quite an adventure, man. And I you know me, I like talking a lot. I don't really ever shut up unless I'm sleeping. But man, we talked that whole way. I don't think there was it's like a 10 hour drive, and I don't think James can hang with me, man. I don't think there was a dull moment that 10 hours, and he is man, it's just it's just a lot of fun. He's like I said, man, he's a lot of fun hunting with. James, if you get down there to Tennessee or Kentucky, man, you guys will definitely have a blast with him for sure.
Thanks, man.
He's a dedicated dude.
I had a good time. I had a good time with you too. That was a fun trip. And the only quiet moment was when y'all both were snozzing away.
So you were driving, I guess. I hope you were driving. Yep. Yeah, okay. I thought it might be like the Chevy Chase thing of the vacation where everybody in the car was asleep.
Man. He drove the whole way. I kept offering to drive, and man, he didn't want anybody driving his rig for some reason.
No,
see, that's
he
my rig. I was just fine. I was happy driving. I was heading to go detecting. What do you expect? All weekend long.
Yeah.
But I've never seen. I guess on a little more serious note, I never seen James frustrated, and our hobby can be very frustrating at times, and especially over there hunting Diamondville. It's a nail infested like you wouldn't believe, and I never seen that. I never seen him get frustrated at all.
Man, that's pretty good.
We were hunting we're hunting this old farm site where these old duck blinds used to be, and you know, it had to have been 1800s because there's a lot of square nails mixed in with these shotgun head stamps. And I was, you know, after about the 5th or 6th head stamp, and you know, the 10th square nail, I was about ready to look for another spot. And man, I just he didn't care. He's on his hands and knees, and he was digging with his pinpointer, and that guy, man, he just kept getting after it and never got frustrated. And so I wish I had that. I wish I had that trait, James.
It gets frustrating, but I just keep going. You know, it's like again, finding needle, keep on swimming, don't give up.
Yeah.
And especially,
so you never know.
Go ahead,
you never
Jeff.
know what that next signal is going to be. You get that little repeatable signal, and you never know what it's going to be, and that's what draws me to it every time. And then, especially if you're walking back to the truck after hunting all day, and then you're walking and you're trying to get back to the truck, and you hit a signal. Well, this is my last one, and you dig it, and you hit another one. Well, then you just have to cut your metal detector off sooner or later. So.
That's about it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Turn the power off, or you'll swing all the way back.
Yep.
Later than you wanted to.
I've turned the power off on mine and swung all the way back. Forgot I turned it off. And then I thought, well, there's nothing in that stretch right there, you know. That's what happens when you get old, you know. You can get by with all that. I can get by. Old people can get by with junk. I'm going to tell you something, you know, because who's going to say anything to them? They're old.
Yeah, they give you free coffee anyway, so I mean.
Yeah, me and Mark Hoover, we can get by with anything, I tell you. Yeah. Hey, James, you've met Mark, haven't you, at Diamondville?
Yes, I did. He gave me one of his Adventures in History patches, which I still keep. So, yeah, he's a good guy. He found some cool stuff. He talked about his bottle that he found out there. That was a neat bottle. He found that pick. He found a bunch of stuff. I mean, we found all kinds of relics out there. And he's just, I mean, all the support he's given me, and I mean, you guys for inviting me on here. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, that was Mark Hoover that turned us on to you and on to Rob as well. I knew Rob. I had watched his videos, and I don't think I'd ever talked to him before, but I'd chatted with him some, you know, on the videos and what have you. He'd say something about mine, I'd say something about his. But, yeah, Mark has helped us book a lot of shows, and I consider Mark to be a very dear friend, and I know that you do too.
Yeah.
I'll
tell you a funny story about that. So I was listening to Joe's episode when he was on back in, was it July or something? And I got a call from Mark, and I missed it because I was at work and I have crappy cell phone service. I was like, man, I got a voicemail from Mark. I just Facebook messaged with him back and forth, and I was like, man, why'd he call me? And then I finished listening to Joe's episode where they talked about maybe trying to get me on here, and I was like, oh, that's what it was. So I'm glad to know him. I'm glad to have been part of this. Last year, you know, I'd only done my yard, my backyard, and my front yard, and I pulled probably $3 in clad between my two whites machines, and then the AT Pro I brought in for another cleanup and pulled like 10 or 12 more coins out. And I hadn't really done much as far as getting out, you know, places or other people's properties. And I saw that posting that Rob did for the Ultimate Permission on YouTube, and I said, you know what? I live in Washington. He's in Idaho. You know, I'm going to try this. It's the first time I've ever done anything to reach out and try to hunt with people or get to know other people in the hobby. And so I entered it, and I ended up winning a spot to go, and that's how I got there. And I ended up, you know, becoming friends with Rob and becoming friends with Joe, and now with Mark and all, and now you guys. I mean, so it's just, I never expected that last year to see that much happen to me. And so I'm grateful for all that, you know.
Well, I tell you what, we're all about newcomers into the hobby. And we've got another call that I'm adding right now, but we need to play another commercial, and we'll pick this call up right after this. If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, and macro detectors and supplies, and he is now an authorized dealer for MineLab. So, if you're looking to get your hands on one of the new Equinox 600 or 800, then Tim's your guy. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses them, and so he can answer any question that you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611 and be sure and tell him that RELICS Radio sent you. And another great guy right there that Jeff and I have had the chance to hunt with, Tim Henderson and his hunting buddy Ron Reed. Great guys. And if you have any detector needs, you call Tim. And who we got? Who's the new caller that we got on the line?
I have Sherlyn.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, I am calling to find out if anyone's ever been in danger metal detecting.
Speaking of Tim and Ron, we were hunting in Murfreesboro, and I had a bull to get after me. So, and then luckily for 7, he yelled, he said, "Watch out!" And I turned around, and luckily the bull had slipped in some mud and fell down. And then, of course, that's when I was able to jump across the fence. So, I think they planned that.
You think they did?
Yeah, I believe they did. Yeah, where I wouldn't get the good spot.
I see.
Who is it?
I heard you have a
that we
on your line?
I say, who is it that we've got?
Yeah, that's my mom.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I'm his mom. I'm James' mom.
You had to call it.
You just got.
So, what about you, James? Have you been in some trouble? Danger metal detecting?
Not too much. I try to stay out of trouble, but I do have a story. So, one of my permissions, it's a pretty large field, and part of it's split up into pieces and used for different purposes. And I got permission out there, and I was out like 4:00 in the morning, and I was metal detecting along, and I started coming up this hill. I was going towards a shed. Yeah, it's a family affair. I started going towards this shed, and I look up, and there's a Scottish Highland cow right in front of me, like 25 feet away, and it was just staring at me. I didn't know there were cows out there in that section of the field. And I contacted the property owner later, and I said from time to time they have cows out there, so just watch out. So something worse could have happened, but luckily they were nice to me that day.
Well, that's quite a story. It's a good thing you said that.
Now you got Mama worried.
No, I don't worry about him. I just thought I'd give him a hard time.
Hey, what do you think about his metal detecting? Do you enjoy it?
I love it. He smiles every time he goes out. He loves what he does. So I am so thrilled that he loves what he does. So,
well, you know what? We're so thrilled that you called in and let us know a mom's perspective. That's something that we don't get on the show, to get a sister's perspective on it, to get a wife's perspective, to get a mom's perspective. We got y'all got any family members left?
Yeah.
I didn't know all these other people called. I am just so tickled that he just loves what he does. He just loves it. He smiles at everything. He loves it. When he finds tin, he loves it. It is just hilarious. He is a pure detective.
Inside, I hate
That's
tin,
what I can say.
Now, Mom, would you ever be interested in going with him?
I would love to do it.
Oh, there you go, James. Yeah. He's got plenty of metal detectors. We can tell.
Yes, I do. I got some disability issues, or I would like to. I wish they would make a metal detector that I could use. So that would fit my disabilities, but someday maybe.
Yeah, maybe someday that they will. Well, we certainly do appreciate you calling in and supporting James. And, you know, you can tell by the way that people talk if they're smiling or not. And you have smiled through this whole thing.
Yeah, he loves it. And I'm just so proud of him because he is a go-getter. I mean, he is out there every chance he gets. This guy is up early in the morning, late at night, all night long. If he could, he'd be out there all night long, all day long.
Well, I was telling you.
And he has 4 kids. He works full time, and he has 2 church callings. I mean, this guy is great.
Man. And see, when he was talking about being out at 2:30 in the morning, I have a hard time getting out there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And of course, if he's got that much a gumption on metal detecting, then he's going to run into some good stuff.
Yeah, he just loves it.
I just keep trying. Yep.
Yeah, he loves it. He just loves metal detecting. He does it. He does it for fun. I mean, he does it for fun. He does it to help people too. He's not out, you know. He just loves it. Yeah. So I thank you for having him on your show. I was just tickled me pink when he told me you were going to have him on the show. So thank you.
Well, it's our honor.
Yeah, we were tickled to have him, and we were especially tickled to have the support from his family. That's just something that warms the heart. You know, we need more of that in the world today, where families get involved in what other family members are doing, and just as excited for them, even though they're not engaged in the same hobby or vocation or whatever. But they're happy for them.
Well, I tried to pull up your app on my phone. I tried to get it so I could listen to the whole program, but for some reason it wasn't coming up on my phone. So I'm like, what number do I call? I was trying to get the thing for the last hour, trying to get it on my phone. So I finally got the number, so that's why I called in, because I wanted to talk.
I'll send you a link to the YouTube recap afterwards.
Okay,
right?
That's fine. Well, it's great talking with you. Appreciate you so
And what is your name again, your first name?
It's Sherlyn, Shirlyn.
Sherlyn, thank you so much for calling in. And thank you so much for having a boy with such passion. We love him.
Oh, I love him too. He's the greatest son ever. I tell you what, he's got a heart of gold.
Man, I bet my mom wouldn't say that.
Man. He does. He has a heart of gold. He helps everybody and anybody. I'll tell you what, I don't know how blessed I got to be the mother of him, but I was. I tell him that every chance I get. You're welcome. I'm not just saying that because I'm on the radio. I say that to him all the time, don't I, James?
Yeah. Yes, you do.
I do. You can look at his text messages. I tell him that all the time. So.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling in.
All right. All right. Have a good night. Thanks. Bye.
Take care.
James, one of the questions that Mark Hoover had put down, does any of your family detect with you? Well, I mean, they may not, but you've got plenty of support. So all but one, they want you to sell metal detectors. So.
Yeah, that's my wife.
Yeah.
Wes Stranger said lost sound.
Lost sound. Can everybody else hear us? I'm sure that they can. Wes, probably, he's like us. He went through 5 Mile Holler or something other, because we're still showing live, and my chat is already locked up. So I don't think that you'll have to look at it there, Jeff, and make sure that somebody says that they can hear us.
Well, John Lambert, he was asking, how did you get the name 7? So.
Oh, how did I get the name 7?
Yeah.
Well, that was my baseball number all through my life, and then that has been Austin, our boys, that's been his baseball number. And, you know, when you play baseball, people don't call you by your name a lot of times. They just call you by your number. And so it stuck with me, and it stuck with him, and it's a special number in our family. And we just honor it, or I have honored it by putting that out there as my handle, I guess you'd say. That's what they used to say on CB radio, you know, that was your handle. But that's the way I got it. Has anybody come in, Jeff, and said that?
Yeah, everything's fine. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was. We knock on wood. We have not had any problems.
Man, you done messed up now.
I done messed up now. Yeah, I sure have. Another question that Mark asked, and I know he asked this in jest, and you're not going to be able to answer this, and I probably ought not even ask you this, but who is your favorite detectress that you've ever hunted with other than Mark?
Oh, that's a tough one. You're talking to me, right?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've hunted the only
let me give you
people I really hunted with. Yeah.
Let me give you some advice before you even try to answer that. Don't answer that.
I just like, I like hunting with people, and so far the people I've hunted with the most is Joe and Spud Digger. So Okie and Spud Digger, and I mean, I'm down for hunting with anybody. I got invited to hunt with a guy named Phil from Emerald City Diggers a few weeks ago, and he invited me out to his place, and I was very, very grateful for that. I found my first silver coin out there with him. It was a war nickel, and I've been trying to get permissions and stuff, and so it's just it was nice to go hunt with other people. I just like getting together and hunting with people. It's fun. It's fun finding stuff together. It's fun showing people stuff. I don't do it, just to brag, saying I found this, you found that. I just like seeing people get excited about stuff, and especially metal detecting. I find it a lot of fun. So.
And we've got another one of your family members on the phone, Mark Hoover. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, James, how are you? Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going, Mark?
It's going great, James. It's really a lot of fun to hear the show, and I didn't know that all your family members were going to call in. Now, look, as your agent, I want to make sure first. I want to make sure that as your agent, that Loy and Jeff are taking good care of you, because if they're not, we're going to charge them double.
Yeah. No, they're doing great. This is great.
Yeah. So no, it's great. We're going to have to talk to you about keeping your wife under control, though. Now we can't have her calling in and giving you a hard time.
She's a hard one to control.
No, that's fine. I'm really glad she called in. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that was great.
I knew she was going to call in. I didn't know what she was going to say. So.
So can I tell a story about James?
Sure.
Shoot.
Well, let me just say this. I'm going to preface the story by saying that everybody that's called in has pretty much echoed the same thing. James, once you get to know him, has a tremendous amount of passion, and of course I met him through metal detecting, and we both won that trip out to Diamondville. And as you guys know, I went out there last year, and I flew out there from Florida and took my backpack and my sleeping bag and my tent and all my food. And I'm thinking, what in the world have I got myself into? I had all my detectors, and we're carrying all this in, and we're going out in the middle of this nowhere. And I'm wondering, are they taking me somewhere that I'm not ever coming back from? Anyway, we got out there, and I was detecting with another fellow named Neil, and we were going around and detecting, and there's nothing out there. And I found this board that was like a 2x8 by about 10 feet long, or maybe not even that long, maybe 8 feet long. And I said, Neil, let's do this. Let's put this board out on the ground, and you take the left side, and I'll take the right side. Every time we find something, let's bring it back, when we come back to camp and put it on the board, and that way everybody can see what we're finding. Kind of start a little tradition here. So we got back and we started putting stuff on the board. Well, next thing I know, this kid comes walking up, putting all his stuff on the board. I'm like, who's this? Who's this kid? Like, where'd he come from? Next thing I know, I started looking at his finds, and they're like, man, it's got some nice finds there. So we cleared out a little spot on the middle, and his finds got better and better and better. Next thing I know, he's putting a gun out there. I'm like, holy smokes, this kid can hunt. Anyway, we divided that board in three, and by the end of the week, we had some really good stuff out there. So anyway, that's how I got to know James, and it became real clear to me, just like everybody else. He's always got a smile. He's very passionate, and I just, like all of these young folks in the hobby, I want to encourage them as much as I possibly can. And so, James is one of the folks that I got to know out there, and just loved his passion. So we've gotten to know each other on Facebook, and I was thrilled that he was willing to come on your show and share that with everybody else, because that's what we need more of in this hobby. You better believe it. And let me say this. It's obvious that James has not been hunting for 100 years like I have. And but a lot of newcomers into this hobby. And we were talking earlier about his oldest Cohen, and I'm gonna let him tell you that rather than me tell you. But me and Jeff have found Cohens back in the 1700s, and a lot of newcomers have not reached that level yet. Jeff and I, because we've learned how to research, we've been lucky enough to get on some old sites and what have you. We've got a pretty good resume as hunters, and a lot of newcomers don't have that. And so I can see a newcomer saying, why would they want me on a radio show? I don't have any Cohens from the 1700s. I don't have this or I don't have that. But you've got a passion. And that is the most important thing in this hobby, is to have a passion and a love for history. And we want to encourage that. And by having James on, and we've had other newcomers on, we're promoting the hobby through these young people. I mean, they're the future of this hobby, aren't they, Jeff?
They sure are. And I mean, it's funny. You go back and read diaries. In your research and stuff, and you read these diaries, and these people were alive back then, and you find out what exactly went on instead of what some of your history books say today. You look at them diaries in your research, and you'll be able to find a lot of good spots in the exact history that happened back then.
And our hat is off to Mark Hoover, because Mark Hoover takes time from his own busy schedule to help us find people like James and Rob and other people, and he reaches out and helps us get those people on the show, and we really do appreciate it, Mark. I'll tell you the truth. We kid one another quite a bit, but if I don't kid you, I don't like you.
That's right, and I'm the same way. And I mean, Mark, we're taking our hats off to you. I mean, thank you very much for the help you've given us.
Well, it's my pleasure, and you guys have a great show, and you have some amazing guests. I learn something every week, and if I can contribute to that, I'm delighted to do that. I just wanted to call in and say hey to James, and glad you had him on the show. It's been a lot of fun, and I'll say good night. And James, keep on keeping on. Look forward to the day when we can hunt again, and you're doing great, and we'll get you a raise on the next podcast.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you making a spot for me on that board, because I was new. I had no idea. So I'll tell you a story about that, too. I had no idea what I was getting into when I went out there the first time last year. And so I told my wife, okay, I'm going to this YouTube contest, and it's going to be somewhere in the boondocks in the mountains of Idaho. And she's like, well, can you call me or let me know you got there? And, I've never been up there. And so I said, well, if I can, I'll go call. But I never got a chance to go call her. And I came home, and she was so mad at me because I never contacted her. I thought she was going to kill me herself.
You're just making bad things worse.
Yeah, a group of people that you don't know, and never gotten together with anybody like this. But no, I had a great time. I met some good people, obviously, and I made a lot of friends. So I'm really excited to talk with you guys and talk with everybody. So.
And James,
hey,
I've
guys.
never.
Go ahead, Joe.
Hey guys, I got a split. I'm pulling into the parking garage at the airport, man, and I've been waiting to have an opportunity to say bye. So sorry to interrupt you guys.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
Hey,
I got
good.
rock and roll here, guys.
Hey, good to have you on tonight, Joe.
Yeah,
Good luck,
it's good to talk to you guys. And a great show. Keep up good work. And James, I'll keep you in the loop, man, the next week.
Yeah, find me some good stuff over there.
I'll do my best. The weather's supposed to be cooperating, so
right.
We'll see. Should be good.
Well, take care.
Have a safe
Take care.
flight.
All right, guys. Well, take care, everybody. All right, bye.
See you, Joe. Yeah, we were getting some wind noise off of Joe's phone there a little bit whenever when he came on. But let's get back to some questions here real quick. What's on your bucket list right now, James?
Oh man, pretty much everything. So my oldest coin is the 1927 wheat penny, and I know a lot of people probably scoff at that, but I found that out at an old shed that was torn down, so I got pretty lucky with that. I've gotten a couple permissions, and the one that I hunted yesterday, it has a lot of history out there, and so I'm just trying to hunt down those hot spots of where they are. You can see I found 5 Wheaties yesterday. None of them were older than my oldest so far, but I keep trying to find even a mercury dime, and I know even another silver coin other than a war nickel, and I'll get there sooner or later. I just got to keep going, and I'd like to find obviously that fake Spanish cob that I found a few weeks ago. That,
I found a real
one. Got my heart pumping as soon as I pulled it out of the ground. I'd like to find a real cob, but that probably won't happen over here on the West Coast. But,
it'd be doubtful that you find a cob over there. It's going to be doubtful that me and Jeff find a cob, although Jeff did find a pistarine, and that's pretty close.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you never know, treasures, where you find it. And then how do you go about doing your research for your permissions there?
So I found out about the U.S. Geological Service TopoView web app. I don't know if you guys have ever used that. But basically, they let you overlay old historical topographical maps that they have over Google Maps. And so I found that one of the places I go to that way, I noticed a guy with a large parcel of land. He had 3 old homesteads from 1897 on there. And so I've been picking away at that property. And that's the one I took Joe out to, one of the areas where we found all those head stamps that he was cursing earlier. And so I found that, and then I like history, and so I researched the history of where I live and, what's here, and I got a couple good permissions. I just got to find the good stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
And one thing, people have opened their hearts, to let me come and dig. That's one thing I'll forever be grateful for, is the people that say, yeah, you can come, because my schedule, isn't during daytime hours. My schedule's at night, or basically early morning when it's dark. And so, some people don't want you out on their property at odd hours of the night, spook you, or I'm afraid somebody might shoot me or something. But the people that I have permission at, they pretty much let me come mostly whenever. I just got to let them know. And so I'm grateful for that.
Man, that's good. And one thing about the square nails, if you run into a few square nails are your friend, because that means you're at an older site. And it doesn't matter how many square nails they are, you hit that site and as hard as you can. So, and libraries are a lot of good, a good resource for.
And I'll tell you something about, I've used the USGS overlay that you're talking about. The only thing that I don't like about it is the accuracy of it. And we have found another tool that Heath Jones turned us on to. It's called MapRika. And it's MAPRIKA. And the history seekers, if you go to their Facebook page, you can go and they did a video on how to use MapRika. What it does, you take a screenshot of a topographical map, and you can actually go to the USGS historical maps and pull those topographical maps up by themselves. Pull them up, save them as I think you have to save them as a PDF, but then save those and cut a section out or crop them down to where it's a smaller map, because MapRika won't take a real large map of an area that you want to hunt, and then pull that into MapRika. And then eventually what you do is you pull a modern map up, and you're able to go to rivers, creeks, road crossings, and things like that, and put in some reference markers. And when you put in a reference marker, if you get 10 or 12 reference markers in that, I guarantee you that you're going to be able to walk directly to that site. I've done it too many times. I did it again today, and you'll be able to do that. Hey guys, we need to take one more commercial break right here, and we got Denny Morrison on the phone, and we'll pull you in, Denny, right after this. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671. And be sure and tell them that you heard it on RELICS Radio. And talking of American Digger magazine, I'm going to put a plug in again in the January-February issue of American Digger magazine, which, by the way, is the best metal detecting magazine on the market. My article on the Great Silver Horde with Jeff Ford, Wes Stringer, and Chris Heimsoff will come out in that issue. And it's a good article that highlights what those guys were able to find, something that is a once-in-a-lifetime find, the Great Silver Horde. So check it out. What's going on tonight, Denny?
Oh, I'm just sitting here listening to this young man, and I'm glad he's in the hobby. We certainly need youngsters coming into the hobby, that's for sure. But I was listening to you, James, and Lloyd touched on this. Myself, I don't like buying any maps off of any internet, period. I'm a good believer of going to a library or a museum and looking at the old plat maps. And I'm sure they've got them in California. They got them in every other state. And you can copy them in there for, back when I was copying them, it cost a dime, but I'm sure it's a quarter now, or better yet, just take a picture of it with your cell phone, make your own copies.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. You can take, just like Denny said, you can take a picture of that map with your phone. You can even take a hand-drawn map. There was a guy sent me a hand-drawn map of a Civil War encampment that is close to me, and I was even able to take that hand-drawn map and put reference points. Now, they may not be 100% accurate, but they're accurate enough to get you in the general vicinity of that. And I've located the place. I'm just trying to get permissions now on that. But you can do all that in MapRika.
All right, I'll definitely check that out. Yeah.
It is great. Of course, here at home, I have like it's like 4 or 5 homes here close to me that was there like 1802 to 1830s, and I mean I can use them as a anchor reference, and of course it helps out a lot if the house has been there that long. And then of course Seven was mentioning creeks, crossroads, and stuff like that. And then of course the creeks, they move a little bit, but I mean, of course your roads are going to change quite a bit, but not as much as the creeks won't change as much as the roads.
No, and you know you're going to be in the general area, and you know I put it on my phone today to the site that I went to, and I turned on and you're able to pull that up into your phone, the finished map, and pull that up into your phone and just turn it on and just drive, and I was noticing as I was driving along the roads. In fact, I circled the whole site. I probably drove 15 miles. Going all around the site just to see how the roads worked. And only in one section had the road really changed from, say, like 1920s. And so they're fairly accurate, you know, more accurate than you think.
And, you know, I did find out something that was by accident. I went through my phone and deleted, like, all the videos and photos I had where I could add more. And I deleted the pictures of the map that I'd taken. And actually, when I went to Maprica on my phone, it didn't have the map, so I had to go redo it again. For some reason, it didn't save on my phone.
Well, yeah, you need to pull those into your laptop or your desktop computer or whatever, and save that map in a place. And then you have to upload it onto the server there at Maprica. And then if you want it on your phone, then take your phone and go to Maprica and download the finished map. And then it'll take you I tell you, I am amazed at what that thing will do. And Denny's right, you know, take a picture with your phone. Get the library to make you a copy of it. You know, whatever. But there are so many ways today that we can get maps without having to spend money for them.
Oh, yeah. I don't buy maps. I just find whatever free maps I can do and figure out what roads are there, where the roads used to be. Like, for example, I live by a big lake now, but before it used to be split up into a few different lakes, and it had roads going through the middle of it. Well, they evacuated all the homes and all the other stuff that was there before and filled it up to make a big reservoir. And so I like looking at the map and seeing how things have changed, how the roads have wandered and, you know, moved around and stuff. So.
Oh, yeah, I use historic aerials a lot. And, of course, I live here right next to, it's called Cumberland Lake. Well, Hickory Lake, I'm sorry. And then it's funny, you can get on historic aerials, and then you can go back and look before the lake was there, and then you can see how the roads run and where the old home sites were and stuff. So it helps out a lot.
Wow. Yeah, I bet.
A lot of history covered up, boys, with TVA and the Army Corps of Engineers. Of course, I know we need those reservoirs, you know, to have water, but a lot of history covered up with that water.
Sure was.
But a lot of history is still left, and that's what the newcomers don't understand. The newcomers will basically go to, and I've seen it so many times, and I've done it myself. You get lazy, you don't want to do research, and you'll go to a school, you'll go to a church, you'll go to a park, and those are the obvious places. Or you'll go to a standing old house. That's an obvious place. If people metal detect in your area, that's already been hit. But if you'll just get a topographical map and then just pick out some sites on areas where you know those people or you think you can get permission, it doesn't take that long to map those things out and do your research and pull those things into your phone and get a plan together and then go talk to the landowner and then go there. Those are the sites where you get into the 1700s and 1800s stuff. Now, I know where you live, James, you're probably not going to get into a lot of 1700 stuff because it was a long time before that was settled. But you will definitely get into some 1800s there. There's no doubt in my mind.
You know, Lloyd, you saying he won't get into any. He needs to get near wherever the gold mines were at, and I guarantee you somebody from out east carried something in the 1700s with them.
Could have.
Maybe it was around their neck when they were born. Who knows?
Could have.
Yeah, like Chinese coins.
Have you Have you found any Chinese coins?
Found one.
You haven't found
no,
one?
I was there with Oki and Rob when they both found their Chinese coin at this last event in August there. And I hunted all over that hillside that he was talking about, you know, how he bet Rob $20 if he could find a coin up there on that hill. And, man, he's pretty much cleaned that spot out. Because I even went late into the night, like 11 o'clock before we were supposed to leave the next morning around 8. And I was just hunting up there trying to find a coin. Rob found one with the TDI Beach Hunter, the new one. He brought that up there to play around with. And he hit his coin with that. And then Joe found his right just above the camp where we were. And that place has been hit hard. I mean, Mark would know that, and all the people who've been there would know that. It's had people walk all over there with detectors, and Joe just got a nice little signal at about 9-10 inches, maybe a foot. And he pulled out one of those large Chinese coins. And I was right there next to him swinging. So could have been me. You know.
Well, you know, they helped with the building of the railroad. And so they were labor, and they had those coins, and they lost those coins there. And that's something that me and Jeff are probably not going to find is a Chinese coin. I'd love to find one. Wouldn't you, Jeff?
Not sure. Let me bring you some down.
No,
well,
I want to find them. I don't want nobody to give me one.
Well, I was going to get you to bring a handful down and just throw them somewhere, and then we can find them that way.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Now, we're not.
It'd be like a seated hunt.
Yeah, we're not. We're not one of those channels.
I have a story about that.
Go ahead. Tell us that story.
I have a story about that. So when I first started detecting, I didn't know this, but we went to the beach as a family, and I was just poking around, around my car and other places, and I started hitting all these clad coins. I was like, man, this is weird. There's a strange pocket here. It turns out my wife threw a handful out there by the car for me.
Good lady.
She did the same thing one night coming home from work in the front yard as well. I'm like, oh, man. Like, why are these coins here all of a sudden? Yeah.
It was a good friend of mine. His father was up in years. He was probably 80 years old, and they had a garden spot that had been tilled up. And so happened their neighbors were good friends with him. So his neighbor would take like old Indian arrowheads that had been broke and stuff and throw it over in the garden. And then, of course, his dad would go down there, and he's like, man, I'm finding arrowheads everywhere. And every time he would go back, they'd throw another handful or two out there. And he hunted that garden for like a year and a half before he passed away. And still to this day, I mean, before he passed, he didn't know any difference. They were just helping him out. He was having a great time out there finding them arrowheads.
Well, there wasn't nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah, there wasn't anything wrong with that. So your wife is not really against you detecting then. She just likes to rib you, right?
Yeah, she likes to heckle me.
Yeah.
She puts up with my madness. The hardest part is like right now we have a little baby and he's teething, and so that's been really impacting my ability to get up early in the morning and go out when I have free time. And so we just we got to work together to get me some time to get out, but trying to get her some free time as well. It's tough sometimes, but I keep on trying, keep on moving. That's the goal.
Well, yeah, right now I'm in the same boat. My 14-month-old, he's teething, and then of course I get where they called molars, and then of course it's pretty rough right now.
Yeah.
Well, James, you're young, and those days you'll look back on them, and it'll be the blink of an eye, as the songwriter said, and enjoy those kids now while you can, while they're young, and everything, and detect when you can. And, there'll come a day whenever things will open up for you and you'll get to detect more than you want to. I know you don't believe that now, but it will.
I think you're talking to me, Lloyd. I was sitting there taking that in. I was like, man, he's talking to me.
Well, yeah, I'm talking to you too. The only thing is that you're going to have to do it without me because I ain't going to be around that long.
No, well, don't talk like that. But I mean, I can't wait till when Avery gets up to age and he can go he can video for us when we first start, and then I guess he'll just have to dig her holes after that. So.
He can run a pin pointer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can run a pin pointer. Hey, James, before we get off tonight, I want to be sure that you tell everybody the name of your YouTube channel. What is it?
So it is Tough Run Metal Detecting. I have a Facebook page. I don't have a group just because of the time to manage one. I have enough with the YouTube channel. I barely get by with that. So thank you for all your patience, everybody. But, yeah, Tough Run Metal Detecting. That's just something I came up with a while ago for some shooting hobby, and then I carried it over into sailing. I have a small sailboat as well. And then when I started detecting, it's because I can get out detecting and not have to dedicate a whole day to it. I just carried the name over to my detecting. And so, yeah, Tough Run Metal Detecting. So hopefully people find my stuff interesting. I know some people have left some negative comments and stuff. I just keep on going and try to get better as I go. So thank you for all your support.
Yeah, don't pay too much attention to the people that are the naysayers, because you have that. It's awful easy to sit on the couch and be a couch quarterback and ridicule people that are trying to do what they love and trying to share that. We expose ourselves when we do a video, when we put on a radio show, whatever we do to put ourselves out in the public to people that say, well, I could have done that better, or I would have done this, or there's always going to be somebody that's not going to agree with the way you did something. So don't let that bother you. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I guarantee you, I go back and look at the other night, I was looking at something, and I thought, I looked at a video that somebody did, and I thought, I'm going to go back and look at and I think I just put out number 200 this week. I said, I'm going to go back and look at my first 5. And I went back and just looked at clips from my first 5, and it's amazing in my mind how I've progressed in the 4 or 5 years that I've been doing it. You do a better job as you get more experience with it, and as you figure out and watch other people do things, and you'll get better with it. But you've got a good channel. I mean, I've watched your channel, and there'll be things that you see that work better for you, and you'll be able to incorporate those into. And I was wondering how you came up with the phrase "tough run."
I don't know. Like I said, I like to shoot guns, and I like to, with my family, we like to go do that. And I also like to go sailing. And the idea came to me I like to do things, tough run guns, tough run metal detecting, tough run sailing. And I don't know, it just came to my mind. It may not make sense to people, but it did to me. So that works.
Hey, it's fine with me. I mean, it beats digging with 7.
No, you're the cool too, man.
How many
digging with 8?
Yeah. How many brain cells did it take to figure that one out? Somebody said. He's been a great guest, hasn't he, Jeff?
He sure has, and then we really appreciate it. And I mean, we're all a big family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys inviting me on here. I, like you said, I'm new, and I don't expect, to be perfect right away, or I'm not looking for recognition or anything, but I appreciate you taking the time to invite me on here and just showing what I do and what I love to do. And it's like a lot of people love doing this. So.
And most the newer metal detectives that I see, I tell them, well, you can't find anything sitting on the couch, but it doesn't look like I can tell you that. You already know that. So.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
I do, Loy. I always, all my money finds in the goes out of my pockets into the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, leave it to Denny. I tell you what. But I tell you, people may have looked at the promo or may have looked at your videos and said, well, this guy's just started out, and, what kind of show is this going to be? You had a very special show with us tonight. We have never had that kind of family interaction, and that made this show unique, didn't it, Jeff?
Oh, yes, it sure did. And I've never heard it, and you've never heard it. So, I mean, it made it unique. It sure did.
And we've had about as many calls tonight, I guess, as we've ever had on any show. So you kind of broke some records. You broke some new ground. You gave us a new precedent, to kind of put forth out there, so that our next guests need to have some family members that are supporting them and what have you. But
I don't know how many was in.
I just put him. Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't know how many is in the chat.
What'd you say, James?
Hello? I said I didn't put any of them up to that. I just knew my wife was going to call, but I didn't know my mom and my sister were going to call too. So that was cool.
Well, that shows they're proud of you. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Yep. Surprise.
My wife must not be proud of me.
No, they wouldn't. You may be like me, Denny. They may be glad that they got rid of you for an hour and a half,
I think so.
Yeah, instead of calling in. But yeah, I don't know how many we had on the chat tonight. Mine locked up a long time ago.
Yeah, it was several. Okay, well, I think we ought to give need to give a T-shirt away, don't we?
Yeah.
I guess James, he deserves a T-shirt. He broke a record. That's what Ken just said. So there you go.
I think so too.
Thank you.
Hey James,
Thank you.
send me your information, your shirt size, and you can go to detectees.com and look at the different colors that they have there, and pick whatever color you want and pick your size, and send me your address, and I will pass that along to Ken and Mark Guthrie at Detectees, and they will drop ship that from their business there to you. They normally ship out on Mondays, and you should have that in a few days. And do us a favor, when you get that shirt, take a picture of yourself, come to the Facebook group page for RELICS Radio, and post a picture of that. Sometime in November, we're going to give away a Garrett AT Pro Pointer, and Ken and Mark Guthrie are going to throw in a hoodie in that prize package. We'll give you a number, and then sometime in November, we'll just do a random generator draw and pull out a lucky number, and somebody's going to win that.
All right. Thank you, man. It's funny you said that. I was actually going to buy a T-shirt after I got off the phone from you guys, because I was looking at detectees.com, and I wanted to get a shirt to support you guys, for having me on here, and then look at that.
Yeah, you got one. But what you need to do now is you need to make your wife and your sister and your mama, all three, buy a T-shirt from Detectees, and
and your uncle and your brother and
and
cousins
and Mark Hoover and all
and your
of them,
friends
and your friends, get all your friends and everything, and Ken and Mark have been great for us. We had toyed around with the idea of getting some shirts made, and we didn't know how to go about it and how we would, you don't want to have a bunch of shirts made in these sizes and then not have anything. And Ken and Mark actually reached out to us and made us an offer on that, wanted to be our shirt people. And so we worked out a deal on that. We don't get any money out of this. I mean, they provide the shirts, and you pay them, and we do advertising for them. And on any show that I'm on, whether I'm on American Digger or I'm on History Seekers or wherever I'm at, I promote those guys because they do a fantastic job, and we just appreciate the time out of them, as we do you, and as we do all of our listeners, and as we do everybody that was in the chat tonight, don't we, Jeff?
That's right, and all of our callers, and then even you, Denny. We appreciate you, buddy. And then,
oh, thanks. And you too, Loy.
And me too. You guys stay on the line here. I'm going to go ahead and close out the show, and I'll be back in just a moment. Hey, guys, if you like metal detecting shows like this, and obviously you do because you've been here tonight, be sure and check out Beyond Sight and Sound on Sunday night and Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And be sure on Halloween night that you take time out to listen to Josh's Beyond Sight and Sound Halloween show. I guarantee you that's going to be a great show. And then on Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern is All Metal Mode. And he also has a UK show that comes out in the afternoon on Thursday, because he does that on UK time, which would be 8 o'clock Eastern, or 8 o'clock Eastern time. I don't know what I'm saying. 8 o'clock Eastern or UK time. So that's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I messed all that up, but that's an old tongue just doing that. And then American Digger Relic Roundup is on Monday night at 9 o'clock. History Seekers is on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. And then Hardcore Metal Detecting is on Thursday and Saturday at 8 o'clock. And obviously, me and Jeff will be back next Thursday night right here on RELICS Radio at 8 o'clock Eastern. And we hope that you join us then. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on RELICS Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at RELICS Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with Seven or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our RELICS Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.